All right, Shalom. It's your brother Kasha Kwala coming back at you with another lesson, giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Achakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. This lesson is going to be pertained around Revelation 17, verses 1 through 5. And pretty much we're going to answer the question of who is the woman? All right, because when you read Revelation 17, Revelation 13, the word a woman is mentioned a lot of times in those particular chapters. So we're going to pinpoint who that is. And yes, spoiler alert, the woman is America of what the scripture is speaking about, but we're going to see how it is so. And just line everything up, Lord willing. This is edifying. So pretty much, this woman is whenever you read about it, is compared to a whore or harlot in the scripts, and that whore or harlot is represented or a representation of a particular country. So when we see a woman in the scripts, we know that's speaking about a particular country. Okay, so even though this country that we're speaking about, which I spoiled it already, America, sometimes in the scripts is mentioned as a city. Sometimes when you see great city or things of that nature, it's speaking about a country, all in all. And the word city, okay, it goes back to you can get the word citizen from it. Because what is a citizen? Well, in order to have a city, it has to be comprised of people, which would be called citizens. Okay? So, prime example, what makes up a city? Citizens. So if you are born in a particular country, you are a citizen of such. So say you were born in Denmark. You are a citizen in Denmark and you make up that country. It's the same thing here with America. So they categorize people as citizens of America. Whenever you fill out a job application, are you a citizen of the United States of America? That's what it will say. You'll say yes, because you were born in the United States of America, making you a citizen of such. Okay? So it makes really America a big ass city, okay, that just calls itself a country today. So pretty much the word citizen comes from city, okay? So this is Revelation chapter 17 and 1. It says, and there came out of the seven, and there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Right. So the great whore. So we just mentioned what the whore was. Pretty much this angel was going to break down to John who the whore was. Okay. Which we have an indication, especially if you're in the studies, know that is America. But for the ones who are not, we're going to prove to you, to show you how the woman or that whore that sitteth upon many waters is what is it? Is America. That's what I was trying to say. So pretty much we're going to dig into what the many waters is. So the whore that sits into the many waters. So Revelation 17 and 15 explains that. It says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues. So when you look at the waters here, the whore sitteth upon many peoples, nations, multitudes, and tongues. That's what the waters are. Okay, so let's jump to let's get a precept real quick. Let's jump to classic one, Nahum 3 and 1. Okay, so this is Nahum 3 and 1. It says, woe to the bloody city, It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. Now, when you read this particular book of Nahum, this is pertaining to the ancient, or it's really speaking about ancient Nineveh during the time of the Assyrians. But you can apply America to this. All right. Pretty much Nineveh was the quote unquote America during that ancient time. It was full of what you see here, lies and robbery and bloodshed. Okay. And the prey departeth not. Which, in a sense, Assyria during that time had set upon many waters, which they set and ruled upon over, multitudes of peoples, nations, and tongues. And one of those peoples, nations, and tongues was the Israelites during that time. And really, all of this, all these prophecies of what you can say, quote unquote, doom towards this particular nation is because of the atrocities they committed against Israel. Okay? All right, so you can pertain this chapter here, or this verse here, to America, but it is speaking about ancient Nineveh. Reason being because America had a lot of properties of ancient cities today. That's why when you read the scripts, you could say America's nicknames would be Babylon the Great, Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt, Nineveh, so on and so forth. But in a spiritual sense, it's really speaking about today. All right, let me get a precept real quick. In the book of Proverbs, the first chapter, real quick. All right, it says, I'm going to jump right to it. It says, to understand a proverb, interpretation of the words of the wise and their dark sayings. All right, to understand those dark sayings, you have to read verse 5, which is, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. So in order to understand these proverbs and these dark sayings, you have to get taught and listen and learn and understand the wise counsels of them who teach. So when people say, oh, it doesn't speak about America because it doesn't literally say America in the scripts, well, there are ones who are not privy to the dark sayings, and they haven't increased in learning and haven't sat down to listen to the wise counsels. All right. So let's go back to Nahum real quick. We're going to jump down to verse 4, okay? Because there's something in here that I want to get. It says, Nahum 3 and 4, it says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot. Exactly, the well-favored harlot. When someone's well-favored, it's kind of like a favorite, all right? And the harlot, of course, is like a slut, hoe. You know what I'm saying? It's just a dirty ass woman, okay? Slept with many men. In that case, you can think about it as that. But in this case, we're speaking about an entire nation or a country, which would be America, which you can say that America is a dirty slut. Okay, it's comprised of different philosophies. It goes off. It does whatever it wants. It screws whoever it wants. Okay, so it's a well-favored harlot. Reason being why it's a well-favored harlot is we're going to get more into it. But it's decked out and arrayed with so many, well, quote-unquote, what you can say, fine things. What makes it look so delicious, you could say. I'm going to be real. You ever seen like a you've been out in the city maybe, took a step out, we men, all right? You might see a little baddie out there, she look good as hell, but that bitch is dirty, but that's America. She look fine, but there's a lot of negative things that come along with it, all right? Our well-favored harlot is like a pimp who has a prized possession, his prized hoe, okay? America is that prized hoe, all right? But back then, of course, what we're reading now, that prized hoe at the time was Nineveh. But you can apply America to being that well-favored harlot, all right? So because of Nahum 3 and 4, it says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, right? The mistress of witchcraft, okay? Mistress is a feminine way of saying a master. So America is a master of witchcraft. You can go to, I want to say Isaiah 54. I want to say, where it talks about. Matter of fact, let me go to it so I'm not just. I want to say it's Isaiah 54. Let me check. I may be off here. It's all good. Now, for the second time, I ain't gonna get it. But I know it talks about, man. It talks about pretty much the witchcrafts and the things of that nature that it's committed. All right. But let's go back. It says, verse 4 again. It says, because of the multitude of whoredoms and welfare of the well-favored harlot, America, in this sense, the mistress of witchcraft. All right, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her rich witchcrafts. Right. So it says what? That selleth nations through her whoredoms. Exactly. All right, which you can read about when it says selling the nations through her whoredoms. You can read that in Revelation 11 when it speaks about on pretty much selling gifts to one another. If I'm not mistaken, you go in Revelation 18, talks about how America has acquired the souls of men. You see, this is all what goes on in America. All right. So let's jump back. Matter of fact, let me get one more precept. Because if we were in Revelation 17, you got to get Jeremiah 50 and 51. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51 real quick. Let's jump down to 13 because what did we speak about? Because this also applies to America. We talked about the many waters. All right. When we go to Revelation, 17 and 1, it says, I will show unto thee the judgments of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. This is Jeremiah chapter 15 and 13. It says, oh, that dwelleth upon many waters. So this is another script that applies to America that you can link up with Revelation 17 to get a better understanding. All right. So again, the upon the many waters of the people, nations, tongues, and multitudes. All right. That is spoken about in Revelation chapter 17, verse 15. It says abundant in treasures. This is back to Revelation 18. Matter of fact, Lord willing, I'm gonna remember to go back to Revelation 18 because that's gonna show you the abundance of treasures that America had that these other nations lived deliciously on. It says, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Right. The end of this place is coming. It's inevitable at this point. All right. It's inevitable. These things are happening. All right. Look at the stock market today. The Dow Jones, at least. It's the highest it's ever been. America is that whore that's just sitting pretty. Okay? It's a whore that's just sitting pretty, man. All right? Also, another thing, too. It says abundant in treasures. Another reason why America is so abundant in treasures, like I mentioned, these other nations. But not just the other nations outside. It's the other nations that are within America as well. Okay? That's how it's become so abundant. Because there's so much import that's coming into this place. All right? This place is called what? The melting pot. Another example in the scripts of what the melting pot is, you can read Ezekiel, the 24th chapter, start at verse 6 and go on down. It's that pot. The scum is on, at the bottom of it. But it's filled with different philosophies, religions, and things of that nature. Different treasures that these other countries bring over. Remember, the gold rush. Look into the gold rush that was over in California. It wasn't a lot of Edomites. So, there was Edomites, but there was a lot of them damn slanted-eyed chink gooks over there busting rocks trying to get some gold. That's why you have a big Asian population over there in California as well, man. Them Chinese came over, or what you could say Moabites came over and went crazy over here. okay? Because it was the gold rush. All right. So let's jump back to Revelation chapter 17. Let's go to verse 2. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication. So yeah, pretty much that fornication is a spiritual adultery. All right. So how did the other nations commit this fornication? By taking on the philosophy and the ideology of America. You can't tell me that America hasn't been the biggest influence of any other country in this entire planet. You go to Japan and there's going to be a Japanese dude wearing a suit and tie on his lunch break eating at McDonald's. Or today, since what's popular is that damn Popeye's chicken sandwich. America has had its hand in every little thing on this earth. Again, the military system. There's almost a base in every single country. Okay? There's almost a warship off the coast of every single country. All right? War. America's always in it. Okay? America is a big influence. So the philosophy and the ideology of America has been just spewed out onto these, spewed out into the cups of these other nations. Therefore, they drunk of the wine of her fornication, which is her ideologies and philosophies and ideals. Okay? It's what you call Americanization. All right? Let's see. Americanization. It's an actual word. Americanization is the process of an immigrant to the United States becoming a person who shares American values, beliefs, and customs by assimilating, into American society. This process typically involves learning the English language and adjusting to the American culture's values and customs. That is Americanization. They push that onto everybody, which is the cup of the fornication, which they drink. They did it when America came and raided this land. That's why we read Nahum chapter 3 and 1. Woe unto the bloody city, it's full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. They came and raided this land, and when they took the who they called the Indians, who we know spiritually as the Gadites and the Reubenites, they took them to their school systems. They made them learn their customs. They made them believe in what they believe in. They made them become orthodox to their society, to how they move, their values, their customs. They Americanized them. And that's what they are doing to these other nations. And now these other nations are under the influence of that cup that they have been given from America. Okay? Let's go back real quick. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. So we understand that fornication is the philosophy and the ideology of America, or the Americanization. All right? And it says the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication. The earth. The entire earth, man. Revelation 13 talks about how the beast is going to sway over the entire earth once their deadly wound has been healed. So pretty much that deadly wound, all right? Well, matter of fact, when it says deadly, let's see if we can get it real quick. 1 second. Because that deadly wound was healed, all right? Once, matter of fact, let's go to, I'm already here right here, okay? Jeremiah chapter 51 and 7. It says what? It says Babylon hath been a golden cup, which we spoke about. All right. It looks good from the outside, but what's in that cup is going to fuck you up. What's in that cup is going to fuck you up. It says in the Lord's hand, all right, that made all the earth drunken. It says the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right. Let me see something 1 second. Let's keep going. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. We have healed Babylon. Exactly. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. So pretty much what? The deadly wound was pretty much when the Byzantine Empire came about. Esau was, what you could say, taken out of power for a time. Okay? For a time. All right? And then it was starting to be healed again with that balm, which when you go into your studies, what is that healing process? The Renaissance era. When they started to come back and to reestablish the power that they've had. Okay? Which in turn, what? That's when the iconoclasm comes. The whitewashing. The mass identity fraud. The biggest identity theft in world history. That was the balm that healed Babylon again, which was the coming back of the ancient Roman Empire. And when these damn pasty crackers stepped foot on the quote-unquote American soil, that's when, and they started to colonize America, that became the revival of the ancient Roman Empire. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. All right? So we kind of got the understanding of what the earth, the fornication of the earth, and the drunk was. The drunk goes back to that Jeremiah 51:7. All right? Which, matter of fact, let me reread that, because it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Right. The nations are mad, which you can go into mad being as angry or mad being as psycho crazy. These other nations be bugging out, man. But you can see them, they're not as what is it? What's the word? Inebriated. Okay? What's that inebriate? Let's get that word real quick. Inebriated. I'm a terrible speller. I'm going to tell y'all. Inebriated. Right. Once that inebriation is taken off of them, which means intoxicated or drunk, they're going to be pissed off as an angry mad. Okay? But the word inebriated, halal, in the Hebrew, it means you want to go to this definition. F, we're going to skip right down to it. It says to act madly. Act like a madman, which is crazy. All right? But also in a sense, it's once they shake that inebriation off and become sober again, they're going to be pissed off. And you can see it now. These nations are mad as hell. They are mad. So what's crazy is Jeremiah 51:7 is actually something that's coming to pass right now. They were drunken at a point, and now they're mad. We're at the end of that verse. Okay? Remember, man, America is that sexy ass whore that was so enticing to these other nations. It looked good. They fell for it. That's why the scripture's saying, what's that, the book of Sirach, where it says pretty much don't keep company with a singer, and don't use a woman for her beauty. You know, just paraphrasing, I think I want to say it's Sirach 25 or 26. It's the same thing in this nature. Hey man, we living in this bitch, okay? Don't let her beauty sway you to do something that you're not supposed to be doing, man. All right? Let's go back to Revelation chapter 17. Let's go to verse 3. It says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman. Okay, there goes that woman again, which is America. All right? Sometimes the way I say America, it reminds me, I'm a little off point. It reminds me of a Rush Hour when Chris Tucker was getting a massage. He was talking to the Moabites. He's like, you ever been to America? You want to go to America? All right, but pretty much he was enticing them. He's like, yeah, come to America because it's a lot of glim and glitter, man. It's enticing. All right. So verse 3 says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast." Right. And what's that scarlet colored beast, man? It's the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm gonna keep reading. It says, "Full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." Right. So that scarlet colored beast is them 7 heads and 10 horns. Let's go to Revelation 12 real quick. Matter of fact, let me see. Revelation 12. Let's start at 3. It says, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon." See, the great red dragon. All right, a great red dragon. One place it calls America, a red dragon, a great city, um, great. Okay, just in a whole. Okay, it always has that word great. So pretty much, the red and you have the red and the scarlet. So the reason why it is describing it as a red dragon, the red is a representation of the Edomites, because who runs the America? The Edomites. Okay, and also it's the color red is a symbol, what you could say is symbolic of the color of blood. Well, not it is the color of blood. Red is the color. It goes into blood, and Esau is a bloody ass individual. Okay, it reminds me of this word which I had on standby.
Sanguineous.
Sanguineous, meaning blood red, of or relating to or involving bloodshed, bloodthirsty. It's not Esau, which is a self-proclaimed white man, all of these. He loves to hunt. He calls hunting game. Okay? He'll hunt animals and niggas. Animals and humans. He's a human trafficker. He's the ultimate gangster, man. And what do gangsters do a lot? They kill. Bloodshed. And he loves it. It says relating to or containing blood. Okay? Esau, or the Edomites, Adam, meaning red, man. So when you go back to, I want to say Genesis, the 36th chapter, I want to say. It says Esau is Edom. All right? In Genesis 36:8, it says, thus dwelt Esau on Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. All right? The scriptures made that clear. All right? So it says that's the red. That's what it symbolized. And also because it's a conglomeration of empires and nations. Okay? That's why it calls Salakia. That's why it calls it the red dragon. The dragon is a conglomeration of empires and nations. So I'm gonna continue reading this. It says, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads." Those are a conglomeration of empires and nations. And another reason it calls it a dragon is because a dragon, it's known for its fierceness and keenness. Okay? All right? These 10 horns. All right? So the 7, matter of fact, let's get into it. The 7 heads, that's a representation of the 7 rulerships or empires, you could say. Which, when you mention these 7, you always have to start with the Greeks. You always, whenever you mention it, start with the Greeks. Okay? So the 7 heads is the Greeks, the Spanish, Germanian Major and Minor. So what's that? Greek, Spanish, Germanian Major, Greek, Spain, Germanian Major, Germanian Minor. That's 4. The Romans, the French, and the British. Those are the 7 heads. But always start with the Greeks. All right? Always start with the Greeks. It says in 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. Upon his heads. Right. We're gonna get more into the 10 horns. I ain't necessarily gonna just, just for the sake of the lesson, the time, I ain't gonna just mention all of them. but I'm just going to mention a little bit about it. Okay? So the crowns are a representation of the empires that ruled. Okay? All right, let's go back to Revelation 13 and 1, matter of fact. You see how all these books line up? Yeah, Jeremiah 50 and 51, Revelation 13 and 12. All these you're going to have a somewhat of an understanding to understand Revelation 17. And I'm just going through verses 1 through 5. All right? It says, Revelation 13 and 1, it says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea." Now, he actually saw an actual beast rise up out the sea, but it was representing something. Okay? It says, John saw this. Okay? It says, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Okay? And the reason why we're going into these 7 heads and 10 horns is because it's this beast that this whore sits upon, which is America. So if something is sitting upon something, it has rulership, it has dominion over all of it. It's the head honcho. That's why when you read about the woman, who is the topic of this lesson, who is the woman, you have to understand who the woman is and what it controls and what it's over. Okay? So let's get into it. It says, but this beast was a representation of the 7 heads and the 10 horns, which the 7 heads and the 10 horns are a representation of kingdoms that ruled. Okay? Or you could say, really, since you want to include the 7 heads and 10 horns, these are kingdoms that rule in kingdoms that were inferior, but they still ruled. So ruling kingdoms and inferior kingdoms. Okay? At the same time, they all ruled at a point. And it still are, really. All right? Or you could say the 7 heads were 7 kingdoms, and the 10 horns were inferior kingdoms who rule with them. That's a better way to say it. So the 7 heads are the kingdoms, the primaries, and then you have the 10 horns who are inferior that ruled with them. All right? And the 10 crowns are a representation that they would be in power. Okay? That they would be in power. These 10 horns, you could say. And we've seen these 10 horns in power all the way since 1958, which is pretty much what? The European Union. Or back then it was called the it's called the EEC, which would be the European Economic Community, before its name got changed to the EU, which you know today, the European Union. Okay, which what happened? The Brits, or the UK, had the Brexit. They exited out of the European Union. Okay, you can see these things breaking down. And that's why it's good to have an understanding of Revelation 17, because you're going to know what's going to happen in the future times. All right? Salaki, and it says what? And upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. Right? The blasphemy is pretty much the deception of the entire world by the white man, or the self-proclaimed white man, which is the Edomites. Esau is Edom. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 17. Let's hit verse 4. It says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Right? So it says, and the woman, America, was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. Purple and scarlet are a representation of dainties, or a representation of costliness. Okay? Splendor, you could say. All right? Matter of fact, yeah, that's right. Yep. I wanted to go back to Revelation 18. All right, because that's going to mention that pretty good here. All right, Revelation 18. Hold on. Let's see. Revelation 18 and 19, because I said the word costliness. It said, this is going to prove it. It says, and they cast dust on their heads and cried. Who cast dust on their heads? The other nations, man, because they were making money off of America, man. It says, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city. There go that great city, great dragon, great city. All right. It says, wherein were made rich. That Salakia, that great city, goes back into the inception of the video when we're speaking about citizens. All right. America is a big ass city. It's just called a country. And really, when you go into the United States of America, it's actually a corporation. All right. It says, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. And for in 1 hour she is made desolate. Exactly. With that, let's jump back up to verse 11 real quick, because this is going to go into her costliness or her splendor or her dainties, her booty. Okay, I'm not talking booty of a girl with a fat booty, but I'm talking about booty as in like treasures. All right. It says verse 11. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Because what? Right. They don't buy the merchandise anymore because why? The missiles are going to come and destroy the place, and they're going to weep because all the money they made off it is going to go down the drain. All right, verse 12, it says, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple. There goes the word purple. And also purple is a representation of royalty, rulership, you could say. It says in silk and scarlet. There goes scarlet again. All right, so that's how you know this is when you go to Revelation chapter 17 and 4, when it says the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. This is talking about her splendor or her costliness, and also the rulership, or what you could say, the royalness, because whenever someone's in rulership, it's a royal thing. All right. It says in all thine wood, in all manner vessels of ivory, and manner vessels of precious wood and brass, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ointments, and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and the souls of men. See, all these things that America has obtained. All right. All these things. That's the scarlet, the purple and scarlet in Revelation 17 is speaking of all of that. Okay. So it says, in a woman that was arrayed in Salakia was arrayed in scarlet, purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones, what we just read about in Revelation 18, having a golden cup, which we read about in Jeremiah 51 and 7, and her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Right, the abominations is pretty much the do as I will spirit. Remember, man, this whore is nasty. Hoes be doing whatever the fuck they want, man. Nasty. They go screw whoever they want, go shop whenever they want. Dude, that's America. You can do whatever you want. If you want to go be a pedophile, you go be a pedophile. If you want to be a homosexual, go be a homosexual. If you want to be a, whatever it is in this society, you can go be it, and it's not frowned upon. Okay. It's what you would call the norm. You're being orthodox to the society. You are Americanized. You are Americanized. I can spit it out for a second. And this verse 5 is, I'm going to end it off on this verse. It says, verse 5, it says, and upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great. Exactly, Babylon the Great. That's another nickname for America, man. This is a conglomeration of confusion. All right, the greatest conglomeration of confusion ever. It says, Mystery, the Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and the abomination of the earth, and the abominations of the earth. Right, because you can do whatever you want in America. And I know Apostle Aramab, he did a video on verse 5 a while back, way while back actually. I gotta find it. But I know when you break down Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, it breaks down to be 666. All right, Lord willing, I can find that lesson, but it means 666, man. when you break it down into Hebrew. You see, so this place is full of, it's really full of bull crap, man. It just looks good from the outside. It just looks good for the outside. So pretty much Revelation 17, 1 through 5, man, that woman is speaking of here in America, man. If you live here, and speaking about America. All right. So Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Achakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone to rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. Brother Kasha Kwal, until the next time. Shalom.